Oh, that's right. What should I name the sequel? I wonder. Let's see. The Tale of Naruto Uzumaki. Yes, that is a nice ringtone.
Naruto, you better become the Hokage. I will.
My time trying to make up my mind. I'm sitting here as the chandeliers.
Day 65, I'm Cole. I'm sharing my journey of becoming a professional soccer player, bootstrapping a business, and becoming a better version of myself. Today was a pretty packed day. I hit the gym and did my juggling, as well as worked on my business for the first time in a while and edited a video. Could have been better, but here's what I learned today. The first thing I realized while I was listening to a podcast between Simone Sinek and Lex Friedman. I had heard about Simone Sinek, and he has a few books that you might have heard of. Start With Why and The Infinite Game are two that come to mind, but I was listening to an older podcast between him and Lex Friedman. It was, I think, episode 82, and something he said in there that I thought was really interesting was about creating and starting a team. Most of the topics that they talked about were about kind of creating a team, creating a culture so that you can have people who are very passionate, and the difference between having like a healthy life and pushing to create something greater. But he said he was really questioning the reason that people do the work. He talked about the difference between just trying to hit a number to hit a benchmark, such as trying to get this many sales so that the stock price will go up, or actually being like mission driven and having a business that is trying to solve a fundamental problem in the world. And the example that they gave is like Elon Musk with SpaceX trying to inhabit Mars. And that's like a mission driven goal. And it's a lot easier for people to be passionate about that if they're trying to change the world. I think with my app, I don't think it's something, although like the components of it have kind of already been built, what I'm really trying to take it to has not been done before. And I actually really believe in what I can do in making the app. So I think if I do come to a point to where I need to hire people, it will be a lot easier to hire people based on they have a similar idea that they think this technology can change the world, rather than what I previously was doing with quant, to where it's just like, oh, can I predict this pattern is going to happen in the stock market so I can make some money? If you are going to be in a team, there has to be some mission. If you want it to be sustainable and really drive people to be passionate about the project, of course there's going to be people who are just passionate about making money. I personally just think that changing the world is a goal that's more interesting to me than just trying to run up numbers. If you're trying to create a team, try to find a business that is 0 to 1. Peter Thiel talks about this in his book. He's not very interested in people who are just trying to make another version of what's already there. And he's talked about how next biggest company won't be something that's already happened. It won't be a social network. It won't be a AI infrastructure company like NVIDIA. It will be something that we haven't even thought about before. And there's a big difference between just trying to take something that's already been implemented and then expand it out into like globalization, and trying to create something that's completely novel and new. And that's what I want to do with my business. Having the personal assistant like that, there's other people who are working on it, but I think I can do a better job. I think I can help people realistically meet their goals. And I think that's the best use of a personal assistant, to help people meet the goals that they have. Next thing I want to talk about is about the packaging when you are talking about a message. I've heard this many times in podcasts, but I think it really resonated with me when I was making my YouTube video yesterday. Although it doesn't have any views yet, I think I did a lot better of a job. I think the video is a lot higher quality. I still am sticking with my point of just recording the videos all in one take when I am talking about it. So they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be polished, but I did editing in terms of showing my prompts, showing my templates for my videos. And I think it goes a long way. And at the end of the day, I want to make the best content that I can, but also showing an authentic version of myself. If I can do that as well as still work with my other goals, I did take a lot of time today. I think it took an hour and 45 minutes to fully edit the video. I think that was partly because it took a lot of editing and taking a lot of screenshots. Plus, it was the first time that I was actually putting the full editing flow into production. So it just took a little bit longer. As I go along, I wouldn't be surprised if I get a lot better at going through the flow and making the entire thing. But moving on to the actual YouTube video, the way that you talk, the way that the video feels, the way that the user feels about how you're talking is completely important. I've heard podcasters say before how they've talked about these points for years, but only recently, when they talk about it in their most recent episodes that are blowing up, do people really realize what they're saying. And I think that's because your tone really matters and the quality of the YouTube really matters. People are going to listen to the messenger who has the most credibility, and they're not going to listen to all their old things, but they're going to continue to listen to their new content. So you may have to recycle some ideas, but those points that are really important to the creator have to be reiterated so people who are new and people who are old will find them. And it might sound a little bit repetitive, but there's only so many points that you can have in the world, and you can only help people so much, and trying to give people everything will kind of overwhelm them, and at the end of the day, they won't have anything to take away. I'm taking this message that I'm trying to do and just create better YouTube videos so that people, when they are more interested in watching them, and they can get the value off a lot better. The next 3 points I have are I kind of like came up with while I was doing my juggling today. As you're gonna see, I might flash on the screen now. The not last exercise, but the last exercise is not including the very last one, which is just a freestyle session to where I work on doing like harder things. Fourth last one of the entire juggling probably took me an hour at least, maybe an hour and a half. You can see 171 attempts. I'm not sure if I'm at the point to where people are gonna say, oh, you're not actually working that hard and you just fluff the numbers, or people are gonna say, oh, you suck, it took you that many times. I don't care either way. I know what I did. I know what fucking pain I went through in order to do that. And I wanna talk about the grit that it took. I will say it, when I was, I think 50 tries in, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna take 171 tries. I can like already see it. And I was not far off the mark, but I said originally at try like 10, I was like, I like this one because I'm bad at it. And then I kept going and I kept going and I kept going, and I just kept failing. I wouldn't even get close to the goal. There was about 2 or 3 other times where I would get 5. So the target was I would have the ball on the right side of the chair. I would flick it up and start juggling. And then I would have to flick it over the chair, take a touch, unlimited touches to flick it back over the chair. I think this skill is really important, especially in midfield, because sometimes you're gonna have to take the ball out of the air, one touch, and touch it over the defender, or the ball will be already in the air and you'll have to flick it over the defender. I think evidently I'm very weak at the skill considering how many tries it took me, but I am glad that I didn't quit, and I'm glad that I kept going even after 100, even after 150. I didn't change my initial goal. I knew that theoretically it was possible for me to get it, so I kept going. And eventually I hit it. It did take a really long time, and I'm not like happy that I took so many times to do a skill I think I should be able to do, but I'm glad I didn't quit, and I'm glad I stuck out with it to the end. And I think that's what it really takes in order for you to get where you want to be. You're going to have to just kind of sit down and do the work, especially if you know the work is possible. I know that I had the skills and ability at that time to be able to theoretically do it. So I was okay with continually trying, because I knew after every single failed attempt, I was one attempt closer to getting it that day. And then also I knew that if I would quit, I wouldn't really get the breakthroughs I would get if I kept on trying. I wouldn't get the marginal improvements if I kept on trying. And I guarantee you tomorrow I'm going to be better than if I quit at 10, if I quit at 20, if I quit at 30, etc., all the way to 171. If you know what you're doing is possible, and you have the skills to get it done right now, but the only thing it requires is for you to continually fail and continually fail and continually fail, I hope that you sit down and you do it until it works out. Depending on what work you're trying to do, it may take many days, but I hope you don't give up and continually fail until the goal comes true. Next, starting out my juggling today, I use ChatGPT. I've talked about this before, but I use ChatGPT to increase my targets for the day. I'll re-put up my scorecard for what I was targeting today, but they were 2 or 3 times more what I had previously done, and they were based on what my personal best were. My attempts didn't really change that much to how it had been previously. The first 3 attempts on the first one, which is the alternating low, I got less than 100 in all of them. And I could tell when I was doing it, I wasn't messing up in juggling. It was more so a psychological obstacle of me not being able to do it because of the goal was so big. So when you have like a really big goal or really good big plan in front of you, my initial reaction was fear of, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete this entire thing. But you have to break it down and just say, can I get to 50? I know I've had the ability to get to 250 plus. So why can I not just start there, get to 100, and then incrementally continue. And the first time I broke 100, I kept on going, and I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I broke the goal. The first time I broke 100, I broke 650 as well. I think I got to 700 something. It just shows that, again, if it's theoretically possible, you might have a little bit of fear, but in order to build courage, you have to do the action regardless of how you feel. And eventually, you just have to break it down into small little steps that you can take. You'll be surprised about how far you can reach. And then building on this, the beliefs that I had with my juggling limited my potential. Every week, I put my recent week stats into ChatGPT, and then I tell it to update my goals so that I can push to be more. And I hadn't done it in a few weeks because I had been busy and inconsistent in my juggling. But since I've been to Croatia, I've been very consistent. I've been doing everything every single day except for one, which is I just had like one day where I was kind of depressed. And then otherwise, I've been pretty good about being disciplined. Being consistent has allowed me to actually evaluate myself recently because I have multiple days in a row that I can tell what my actual level is and not like an inconsistent string of days separated to where I might be really good one day or really bad another day. The limits that I had on my goals from the previous day would cap at what I thought I could do. I talked about it already, but I had a insane multiple on my target and my stretch goal that I had previously from just the day before. All I did was change my target and stretch goal and my reps and completely changed, but my attempts didn't change at all. So I think it just goes to show that if you are pushing in something, if you are doing something, you're capable of a lot more than you think you are. You have to take the data that you are doing. If it is something that is safe, I don't want you think that you can squat or bench 300 more pounds than you can right now and then die because I gave you this advice. But if it's something like juggling to where there isn't really a risk of me doing more juggles, if it's something that you can push on, maybe it's you can do 30 more minutes of work, or maybe it's you can run for 20 more minutes. The limits that you put on yourself will be the limits that you achieve. And in order for you to break those limits, you have to continue to set new goals and try to push as far as you can. And eventually you're going to come up to your limit. You're going to come up to your upper bound of what you can achieve, but you have to continue to try to push more because you're never going to get even close to the potential that you are capable of if you don't try to push the boundaries far beyond what you think you can do. That's all I have for today. Day 65 complete. I hope you got some value from it, and good night. Here is my scorecard for today. I think the most notable things, which I talked about in the video, is the last 3 exercises, not including the freestyle round. My reps or my attempts went really high, and it sucked in the moment, but I'm glad I kept going. Then in my actual calendar portion, I can see that I have 45 minutes of Instagram, which isn't very good for me, especially the 30 minutes right before bed, but overall happy with the day. I think that the coding session was a lot longer than what I actually got done. It was a lot of problems with Augment Code not actually finishing or making edits in the editor, so which is something I'm going to have to fix.